TheseHorns.com, Pro Tools 9 and 10, free class tutorials, beginning, intermediate, and advanced. Overview of Pro Tools.
Hey YouTube, how you doing? This is Whitney Russell with DS Horns. Today we're going to go over just an overview of Pro Tools 9 and 10. Basically 10 is similar to 9, so if you have 10, all my tutorials will work for you also. First I'm going to talk about the book. It's called Pro Tools 101. I advise you to get the book. It gives you just something that you can always reference back to with my videos. And so it has some hands-on projects at the end. So I would suggest you to get the book also. Alright, let's go ahead on this overview. This right here is basically a mix window. It's basically a board like you find in the studios. You can have up to 96 channels. This right here is where you're going to have all of your inserts, your plugins, EQs, dynamics. This right here is where you're going to have all your MIDI instruments. Okay, let's go right over here to the tracks. Anything that you record down here on your tracks is going to be over here in this bin. Okay, so right here, your groups. This is basically when we'll talk about all this tracks and groups and everything in my other tutorials. The groups basically are going to be all right here. If you want to group these three, all your groups are going to be over here to the left under groups. This right here is your transport window. That's basically how you're going to play. Fast forward, start, and record. Let's move on over here under file. You have ways to how you're going to open up the new session. You're going to open up recent sessions, you're going to close sessions, you're going to save as template, revert to save, send via digital delivery. Bounce is where you're going to bounce to CD, import and export audio or anything you want to export video. You want to get information, score setup. Let's go to edit. This is where you're going to do most of your editing. Anytime you have anything you want to undo, this is where you're going to come right now. Undo or can redo or restore last selection. If you accidentally delete something, this is where you would come and do most of your editing. These are the functions just basically like in the word processor. You got cut, copy, paste, clear, cut special, selection, and this is your duplicate, repeat, shift, and we're going to go over all of these in my beginning, intermediate, and advanced tutorials. You got strip, silence, and your fades. Alright, let's go on to view. This is everything that you want to view. If you want to view anything, it gives you different ways of viewing. This is in the mix window. If you want to turn off certain things that you don't want to see, you do it right here in the view window. Alright, and you have your transport window. This is everything about view. If you want to view regions, your waveforms. Alright, let's move on to track. This is anything dealing with your tracks. You want to create a new track. You want to group your tracks together, duplicate tracks, input only monitoring, scroll the track, create a click track, which is, like I said, we're going to show you how to do all of this. Your regions are basically anything having to do with your regions, your edit lock, rating, your group, ungroup, your elastic properties, which is really important. And once again, we'll talk about all that later. In the event modes, you have time operations, tempo operations, and event operations. This is where you do your quantize and your transpose. Right here, you got MIDI tracks, MIDI time properties, add key change, beat detectors. Let's move on to audio suite. Is another form of effects processors. It's EQs, dynamics, pitch shifts, reverbs. We'll talk about that later also. Options, you have destruct record, loop record, quick punch, the pre-post roll, and all these things. Basically, a lot of them have these little key commands on the side. You want to try to learn as many of these as you can. I have a tutorial with all of them, key commands for you. Here's your click, your MIDI through, and your delay compensation, which we'll talk about that later also. In your setup, we have hardware, your playback engine, your MIDI. If you want to set up your MIDI, this is where you come in. Anything you want to set up, something's wrong, you probably want to come here and check out your setup. In your window, you got configurations, arrange. The window is where you change from mix and edit. Where you change the MIDI editor, score editor, the MIDI event list. Let me go ahead and show you that real quick. The help button is just basically if you ask any help. You can go here, and they have a lot of questions that people have asked. They have a lot of shortcuts that'll help you. Now back over here in the window, I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the edit window. All right, this is the edit window. This is where you're going to do most of your editing. Okay, let's go over what we have here. This right here is basically some of your edit tools. You got shuffle, slip, spot, and grid mode. Okay, we'll go over all of these. I think that's in my intermediate. We'll go over all of these. These are your zoom tools. These are your cursors as far as your time, your start, end, length, your grid, nudge value. And here's your transport window again. Let me go ahead and cancel that out of there. All right, so this right here is your pre-roll, your post-roll. This button right here is important because this is something that allows you to focus on what you want to see. So if I want to see the transport window, I can take it out if I don't want to see it. See how that just happened? If I don't want to see your regions list, which is right there, right here, I can take it out. Okay, but let me go back and bring that back up there for you. The regions list. Regions list is basically anything that you do is going to be kept here in the regions list. That's important because a lot of times you might delete stuff. It's always kept here in the regions list. This is your track in a wave form. Okay, so you can see exactly what you're doing. This is your tempo, the bars and beats right here. This is where you're going to bring up your tempo, your markers, your meter. If you don't see your tempo, come right here to bars and beats and just click on tempo. Okay, this is basically where your tracks are in the MIDI. Let me go ahead and show you one more thing. Go right here, and this is going to be the MIDI editor. Okay, this is where you're going to do a lot of your MIDI. Your instruments and everything is going to come down here. A lot of your MIDI editing you're going to do is going to be done in the MIDI editing. So that's something we'll talk about later. And that basically is, let me show you one more thing, the score editor. Okay, this is where I like this. This is where anything you play, they'll write it out for you. Okay, we'll talk about how to do all of that because, like I said, that's coming up in all my tutorials. That's an overview of Pro Tools 9 and 10. For further tutorials, beginning, intermediate, or advanced, go to dshorns.com. If you need a horn section on your track, horn solos, piano chords, piano solos, or help mastering your track, contact me at facebook.com/ds.horns or at dshorns@yahoo.com. And make sure to send me a friend request for Pro Tools updates and free plugins on Facebook.